It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
You don't get the label Black Sheep without doing something to earn it. Black sheep aren't bad, they just stand out from the crowd. They look at the status quo and say, we can do that better. And that's exactly what we do.
Big move down the inside for
Oh,
the lead from
Eli takes the lead.
This is going to come down to the finish. Kyle almost side by side, but a good exit will give Laura Eli the win here overall in the first round of the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series. We're 4 races into the season, and already we're seeing a definitive points leader here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama. But Blake McDonald sees a lot of drivers nipping at his heels. So what will Circuit of the Americas hold for our competitors here today? I'm Joe Peak with Jeremy Scott as we get ready for the first race of the weekend. Qualifying is done, and we saw a few interesting things in that session, but let's take a look at the track here, Jeremy, because this is definitely going to be a very different challenge from their first 2 races.
It really is, because this is the first time that these drivers will be not only competing east of where they normally compete, but also with the North America, Porsche Sprint North America, I should say. We saw in qualifying a lot of wiggles, so drivers trying to feel their way through the circuit. Take a look at this. You've got several key passing points. So you got turn 1, big red, and then turn 6 coming off of that. You're going to have drivers come up against each other for turn 11. Of course, you have not much time until turn number 12. Turn 15 is also a hot spot, and then turn 20, Andretti. That's where you lay it all out on the line to get to the F1 finishing line for the start finish. 3.41 miles, 20 turns. We have one person to take us around there. Let's say good afternoon to Laura Eli. Well, it looks like that Laura Eli will not be doing that, as we have the pace lap underway for this Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama. 14 cars will answer the call, Joe. We have 1 car missing, and of course that's our Cayman Masters points leader, Richard Kinsey.
Yeah, unfortunately unable to get the car ready in time. We had a number of drivers already this weekend that ran into trouble, so it looks like he is amongst them. So a slightly smaller Cayman field than we anticipated here today on their pace lap. Why don't we go through our starting grid for this first race of the weekend. First of two, as they traditionally do. Blake McDonald is going to be starting on the pole once again, as James Lee looked very fast in qualifying. He could be a real trouble spot for Blake this race. Then we get into third position where Casey Dennis, he's been the one that's mostly been coming home in second this series, and he finds himself starting third today with Cron to his outside, putting an awesome lap out there in his 2:33. Then we get down into row number 3, and that sees Luke French starting on the inside of this row. Kevin Woods, who is fighting in that Masters category, going to be starting second in that class, but will be 6th overall. As we head down into 7th position, Joel Cortez going to be starting next to Jim Walsh. Jim has been fast, but needs some good results. He's been looking good this weekend. Let's see what he can do. As Laura Eli, who is excellent in the race, not as good as qualifying. She'll start from 9th next to Josh Conley, who will be in 10th. Then from there on down, you've got Michael Zweiback, who starts in 11th. Thomas Hacker going to be in P12 for this one today in that number 264. Then we get into the Caymans with Galke being flanked by Greg Herback. And, of course, as we said, Richard Kinsey, unfortunately, not going to be able to start this one, as we should have 14 drivers actually take to the track. The AutoWorks driver, unfortunately, unable to compete in this first race. Looks like they are on the back stretch heading into that turn 12 popular passing zone here, Jeremy. But will we see many passes at this race today, or is this going to be whoever gets to that first corner first?
That's what I'm wondering, because there's a lot of unknowns, especially with as hot as it is. I talked to a couple of the drivers asking how are you going to stay cool. Some of them had the cool suits, but as we mentioned, because of the way this heat is here, it only lasts for about 2 or 3 laps, and then all of a sudden you start to see the marks at the end of the race from the not-so-cool suit.
Exactly, and Galke here going to lead this Cayman category as we get a nice onboard from him. Remember, we've got those 3 classes. That's the 992 Pro-Ams. You'll see them with white numbers on our tower. The blue number is going to be the 992 Masters, and then the yellow will be our Cayman cars, as they are now double file coming out of the triple Apexer, and they should be released by that pace car soon for our first racing laps of the weekend. 35 minutes plus 1 lap is the race time that they will be competing in. We'll see whether or not we get interrupted by any cautions, especially with what we've seen in the practice sessions. They come through Andretti up to the main straight, looking for the call from the flag stand. And they're waiting patiently. They don't start at the finish line on this one, which they just went past. They have to wait for the start line.
Yeah, because it's such a long run to turn 1 right there.
And there it is. Green flag is out. Blake McDonald gets a pretty good run, but to his outside, James Lee, Mr. Excitement, going to try and size him up. Could he cut through the over-under? No, we got a 3-wide situation. Dennis manages to sneak inside of him.
Well, Kreinholt with a little bit of a bump there. We're 3 wide enough, but nonetheless, McDonald with a nice jump. He's got miles of room between he and Lee right now as the Caymans need to get the green flag down on the straightaway, but look at that advantage through the S's.
Yeah, I think Galke still leading there in the Caymans currently as we continue to watch. So Dennis and Lee side by side as they come through the S's briefly. Remember, those two are teammates. They have raced against each other plenty.
Yeah, and they're side by side as they come into turn number 9, but now single file. Better just to hook up together and try and find a way to catch up to McDonald, because if he gets off the line quickly, coming off the hairpin, it's pretty much going to be game over as they're side by side going into 11.
Defensive to the inside. I think that's Lee trying to guard, but it looks like Casey may have taken that second place away. As farther down in the field, Mike Z is working on Jim Walsh, it appears. They'll now fly down the backstretch towards turn 12 already. Blake McDonald, look at the visible gap. We don't have the time on our tower quite yet. They need to come across the start-finish line, but my goodness, he's already trying to scamper away.
Well, it doesn't help the F teammates battling with one another right there as they're coming on just the first lap. It's better for them to kind of sit there, play the waiting game, the RWE teammates trying their best to catch up. But look at this battle also for the Masters between Cron and Woods.
Yeah, and looks like Woods is still behind Cron currently. There's your two teammates flashing past. There's the Masters leaders as they come past the tower up to the final few corners. Often you'll see drivers make mistakes through here, so will they be able to maybe shake one out of their competitors as they fly through 19 and down towards the final turn? A little bit of a look to the inside, I think, there from French.
Yeah, French with a nice move coming off of Andretti. We'll see how far ahead he is this time behind. He's just not too far ahead, but he's still got to defend going into turn number one as he tries to do easily. Look at that gap, though, between McDonald and Lee. 1.2 seconds, 7/10 of a second separates Lee from his teammate Dennis as Cron looking to the inside. Woods looking to the inside of French.
Yeah, Woods does not want that Pro-Am car between himself and his Masters competitor for the lead right now, but Cron looks very good this weekend after taking that pole position. He is not allowing Kevin to get a foot in the door.
As everybody kind of evens out again. It's a 35-minute plus one lap race. Your top five are going to look like this. McDonald in the 208, Lee in the 205, Dennis in the 274. Then it's your Masters leaders. We got a battle for position right there. Reinhold Cron, he's coming under attack by French as they come into turn number 9. Oh, a little bit of an inside move that French tries to do. Dennis also kicking up some dirt there.
Yeah, he unfortunately found the door shut in his face, so French will have to try again. Cron likes having that car back there. He doesn't want to allow him to try and get through and force him to face off against Woods. Once again, very wide for Luke French, who finds himself struggling with the track limits here. He's got to be careful he doesn't get a penalty.
Yeah, let's try and see what happens with this battle for position. Again, it's Cron, French, Woods, a battle for fourth place. 3 wide going into turn number 11. Yeah, they're going to try and stuff it in there and see if they can make it all work. Laura Eli right there. She's in the middle, and she is able to get 2 in 1.
Not surprised at all with her savvy and the racing we've seen from her so far this season. So Conley and Cortez are going to have to take a back seat as she moves herself, I think, up into 7th overall.
So far, so good, as we have about 5 minutes down in this race. Take a look at onboard Walsh, as talked to him, and he was, he was positive about this weekend, but got to see what happens here in the as he tries to work his way through traffic. Nice little bunch up there in the middle of the pack, but Blake McDonald really running away with the field.
This is the reverse of what we usually see from Walsh, honestly. He tends to qualify very well and has things happen in the race and falls backwards. This time, he's starting a little bit farther down. Will we see him maybe charge forward and attack a few cars just behind Cortez right now, but doesn't seem nearly close enough? This is Laura Eli on your screens currently in that 209. She's been very smart about her racing. Back at the first round, she kind of caught everybody by surprise by her choice of tires, using scrubbed ones when it was cold. Now with it hot, Jeremy, I wonder if she's got any other tricks up her sleeve.
And that's something I should have asked her before, because, obviously with it being as hot as it is, you worry about these drivers. You wonder if it's, what they're doing to prepare for this. And we mentioned that some teams have cold baths for afterwards. Laura's like, look, I got a cool suit, I got a water bottle, I'm fine. It's 35 minutes plus one lap, though. This seems like more of an endurance race than it does a sprint race this weekend.
Still a battle going on between French and Cron. While that might be for 4th overall, that is not within the same class. French trying to get back up to Dennis and Lee to see if he can race them for the podium. And coming out through turn 11, looks like Conley still starting to run away a little bit. But excellent stuff here at the start of the race. Glad to see we're getting some green flag running going. In the meantime, I'm looking on my map here, and it looks like McDonald's might actually have Lee hot on his heels right now.
Yeah, it does look that way as they come around to complete yet another lap here shortly, as the 208 and the 255 running nose to tails are coming into the stadium section, and not too far behind is Dennis.
Switching back now through the other corners. Yeah, there you can see Dennis, surprisingly not as quick as James this time, as he's picked up the torch for that team. And the 255, only 0.3 of a second behind McDonald. He was on the pole position until very late in that qualifying session, so I think he wants revenge.
Yeah, he definitely does, so we'll see what happens here. That's another good battle between Cron and French. That's for overall, not for exactly position, but if French were to able to get around Cron, he might be able to chase down Dennis for that bottom step of the Pro-Am podium. It's McDonald, Lee, and Dennis. 1, 2, 3. McDonald has doubled that lead, but of course it's kind of tough to say you double the lead when it's already a 0.2 of a second lead last time by.
Man, you could see the heat haze down the main straight. Walsh going to dive up the inside on Cortez.
Nice little replay.
And, he's going to be able to, looks like actually, I think, get it done, because I think he is past them, and that is Conley in front of him now.
So that's good to see, as Connolly trying to stay in 8th place and chase down Laura Eli. Eli right now, she is 3rd in the Masters, 7th overall. As we take a look at our Cayman race, and it's Michael Gawkey with a commanding lead over Greg Herbeck. Gawkey second at points right now, as he has 1 win and 3/3 so far this season.
Yeah, and Herbeck is only in his 3rd ever professional race, so I'd say he's holding his own, only being 6 seconds down. He comes from ski racing in background, apparently, which has been fascinating to pick his brain about. Hopefully I'll get to catch up with him again this weekend and talk to him a little bit more now that he's got some experience under his belt.
I was going to say, that's quite a vast difference. You're cold ski racing to sauna racing here at COTA.
Well, honestly, the funny thing that I found is I asked him which is scarier, this or ski racing, and he said ski racing.
I believe it. Yeah. Because here's the thing, you have a cage around you
exactly.
In motorsports, you don't have it in ski racing. But I'm still watching this battle going into the carousel of our leaders, the 208 of McDonald and the 255 of Lee behind them. A big gap to Casey Dennis, Reinhold Kron trying to hold off French for overall position. Kron, though, is your Masters leader, and you're primarily doing the West Series. Does this surprise you, Joe, that Kron is running so well this weekend?
It absolutely does, because I believe his best finish so far is a 4th place. Yeah, twice at Spring Mountain. Otherwise, he's got a 5th and a 6th. So I think Reinhold has got something different here, that this track just works out well for him. There is Herbeck, who we were talking about a little bit earlier. He said his goal at Utah was to simply finish the races. Let's see what the goals are here in the end. Maybe he wants to be just a little closer to the leader, or does he have something else in mind?
By the way, that is such a slick paint scheme. Very unassuming out of the 49 of Herbeck. Still watching this battle for the lead overall. Looks like McDonald and Lee very close to one another. See if we can get them coming on to the hairpin here momentarily as they go around turn number 9. And our map is showing that it's a close battle. 1 second it shows Lee in front, the next it shows McDonald, and that's through the S's right now.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that as well. I know we don't have it on screen right now, but it's frankly impressive, because the one blip that I had talked about earlier this weekend during qualifying for McDonald was simply because he got involved in a little bit of a scuffle and had to climb his way back forward. Otherwise, he just kind of runs away from the field. So for him to suddenly have James Lee be right on top of him like this, to me says that maybe we've got a good race on our hands.
Well, Wood's trying to look to the inside of French, too far away. By the way, if you're watching our tower, nice to see the safety cars come out to play as well. All right, so McDonald trying to do all he can to keep James Lee behind him. And let's watch his battle between French and Kron. Kron is trying his best through the stadium section. Look at French, though. He hits those curbs. And I actually talked to a Yokohama, one of our Yokohama representatives. I asked her, I go, are you seeing any issues with the tires? And she said that they've told the teams for the drivers to stay off the curbs the first couple of laps to get those tires up to temp. So it is a team-by-team basis, the reason why we're seeing these issues. But nonetheless, they're saying these Yokohama tires are performing very nicely.
Yeah, and right now it's working out pretty well for them, because I think they've got those tires fully up to temp at this stage. Kron still putting French between himself and Woods, but don't look now. Laura Eli with her past Conley. I wonder if this is going to complicate things for that Masters battle for the win.
Well, it looks like it as French tries to go a little bit high, get inside those mirrors of Cron. Now, this is the battle for fourth place overall, not for class position. And, of course, because of this battle, that's opened up a 3.7 second gap between Dennis and Cron. So, really, French is going to have to do all he can to try and make up time if he's able to get around that 2:33. He's going to look to the outside through the S's, set himself up quite nicely. Oh, this is going to be a nice pass as they're side by side through turn number 7. Now they set up with the right-hander at turn number 8 and the left-hander at 9. Give French the 4th position.
Whoever set up that camera, excellent job.
Yeah.
You could even see in his mirror the car of Cron suddenly find himself behind him. Oh, here we go.
And Woods is going to come out to play as well. He's going to go to the inside of Cron, side by side. That is actually a battle for the Masters lead as they come down. Woods now has it. So in a matter of a handful of corners, Cron has lost 2 positions.
Oh, we might lose another. Laura smells blood in the water, and she's on the hunt. She's going to look to the inside as they head towards the braking zone of turn 12. She's all the way fully alongside as they now reach the end of the straight. Can she finish the job is the question, and that's going to be a yes.
And now she has her eyes set on the leader of the Masters class, and that is going to be Kevin Woods. So into the stadium section, we've already seen several moves being made, and now with 22 minutes, the crews are saying it's starting to be go time.
I wonder if Laura's going to try and restart the cycle a little bit. So far this season, in each of the races, she was 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I don't think she wants 5th, so let's see if she gets a 1st here.
Let's see if she can hit for the cycle and go back to a 2nd win this season. She would be the 2nd person in the Masters to make that move. Kevin Woods, who is your current leader in Masters, he has won twice already this year.
Indeed. Kevin, I think wanted another one, or still wants another one, but he's certainly not out of it, especially now that Laura has managed to make that pass. Is he going to try and overtake French? And he's going to use the same thing that Cron did for many laps. He's going to put a buffer between himself.
And, of course, that's giving Laura Eli a chance to open the door there as well for position, as we see that Cron has lost yet another spot.
Well, Cron's not been having the greatest of laps here. That's, I guess, was that 4 in 1 lap now?
That was at least, yeah, that was 4 in 1 lap, but the good news is Conley is out of class, so he's got about 3 to 4 seconds before Walsh reaches him, and Walsh has still got to get around Cortez. Look at French though, sawing on that wheel, trying to keep up with Woods.
He is very aggressive on those curbs. I've noticed that a couple times now that he's had to make a few corrections as it bounds over those yellow apexes. Thought I saw Laura think about it, but then think twice as she now tries to size up French and remove him as a barrier between her and Woods.
Yeah, let's see what she does down the back straightaway. She made that move on Cron at the midpoint of the back straightaway. Don't think she's going to be able to do it. Well, she's going to try it again. As she looks to the inside, she might make it in the braking zone, which on the inside, you can get just a little bit deeper, and there she does. She's not going to get 2 in 1, but she's going to try at least for the overall position of 5th. 5th.
Yep, so, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the main goal there, is not going to get both of them in the same corner, but now she can focus forward on Woods. And what did I say in that qualifying? That Laura is not known for her queue times, but her races are phenomenal. And, I mean, we're 15 minutes into this one, and already she has passed, what was it? She started like 9th or something?
Yeah, she started 9th, and now she's up to 5th, so that's 4 cars. So, and here's the thing. If you know for a fact that your quality pace isn't up to snuff and you can get done the race, no big deal. Can just go up near the front. This is the battle for the lead between Blake McDonald and James Lee. That's 0.3 of a second between the two drivers. They're keeping lockstep and kind of gapping everybody right now. Is almost 5 seconds separates that battle for the lead from 3rd place.
If I'm Blake, though, I'd be a little bit nervous here. Like I said, James is Mr. Excitement out on track. He is not shy in his door-to-door racing. So I'm pretty sure that if he gets a whiff of an opening, he's going to shoot one up the inside.
No, he really will, as James is just trying to see what he can do, make his move. He still has just under 19 minutes in a lap to get things done as they go under the state flag of Texas into turn number 9. Our eyes are on our leaders right now. 0.3 of a second at the line, but could that be closer when they come out of the hairpin?
couple of these corners, James looks like his car is sliding around a little bit. I wonder if that'll come back to bite him, and he'll start to lose pace if he abuses these tires too much. And on top of that, he's got the dirty air of Blake coming off of that car.
Yeah, so it's 6 and 1/2, half dozen in the other for Lee. He knows he has the pace, and of course, yeah, you see him try and dive out from under the aero wash of Blake McDonald. He's not close enough to make anything happen going into turn number 12, but he's going, oh, that was a little close, so maybe McDonald's trying to break just a little early to catch Lee out, and almost did.
Yeah, thankfully no contact there, but now things slow down. But this offers switchbacks, is a little wide, goes Blake. We could see a change for the lead here. James Lee going to have to go the long way around. And as they come out of the stadium section, it looks like he'll be denied for now, but he's starting to get a feel for this.
Well, we saw a little toe out of line from McDonald. He got a little wiggle going into the stadium section, so Lee was able to capitalize on that, but not exactly fully as they head into turn number 19.
I wonder, is something wrong with Blake's car? Is he not happy with the tires? I've never seen him under this much threat for the win since probably race 1 at Spring Mountain.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever the case is, this seems to be kind of ball is in James Lee's court.
And what happens with McDonald? How cool is he going to stay under pressure? Plenty of racing time left. We say that verbally, but inside, if you're Blake McDonald, Joe, do you worry about the defense, or would you let him go and see what and try and keep him honest?
I think he's got to guard that track position, honestly. If you're Blake, you're trying to get James to make that mistake, but maybe, like I said, guard the apexes with a bit of caution and make sure to give him space if you see him barreling through. But so far, he's not quite been able to do so, even though he's been looking for it. Boy, using a lot of the track there, Blake, off to the side there.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see if we get a message from race control on that little move. Of course, track limits being one of the key things. Here comes Lee. Look at the inside, not going to make anything happen as McDonald shuts the front door on him and takes the defensive line going into 11.
That is it. There's such an optical illusion coming down there with the being shortened from our camera angle that he looks so much closer, and maybe he felt pretty close but wound up not being near as close as he needs to be. What about the slipstream down the back stretch? He's got a good run. Blake's going to have to once again cover the inside as James Lee breaks as deep as he dares, tries to cut back. This is where they went side by side on last lap. He was able to get McDonald to go a little bit past the apex, not this time.
And he's going to try that move once again, go around the inside, but he does not have the direct line going into that final corner through the stadium, as McDonald taking a tighter line. And you got to wonder if race control is going to take a look at that move in turn 12 that passed time by, as it looks like McDonald may not have given Lee the room that the rules dictate.
We'll see. I think that honestly that looked fair enough to me, but coming into turn 19 now and last corner, it's Blake McDonald leading Lee with his teammate Dennis, now about 5 seconds behind. If they keep fighting like this, that actually might help Casey.
It might, so we'll see. Dennis, this past time by was about 5 seconds back, this time 4.2 seconds back. So, yeah, Dennis looks like he's starting to close up little by little as they come across the line once again. Laura Eli losing a little bit of space between her and Kevin Woods, but you got to applaud her run up through the grid, as now she's sitting second in Masters, 5th overall.
Absolutely. So maybe she used up a bit of her stuff having to make some of those passes, but regardless, another second place will be very handy for her in points. Now, the unfortunate thing, the person she's chasing in points is Woods.
Yeah. So that's going to make things a little bit more difficult. We saw McDonald go a little wide coming out of turn number 7. Lee thought he could capitalize, and he doesn't, but he is all on that rear wing of McDonald coming out of turn number 10. He's going to look to the inside once again. He's going to dive to the inside, still too far away to make anything happen in turn number 11, although I think he's got McDonald's number going into 12.
Both of them taking it as wide as they're allowed, coming through 11, knowing that the good exit onto this backstretch is critical. We are down to less than 15 minutes to go. James doesn't look as close as we saw him last lap. That doesn't necessarily mean he won't still give it a good college try, and indeed, look at that around the outside once again.
He's able to get by him, but he's not able to get past him as he looks around the outside of turn number 13, though McDonald not going to make it happen as he brushes himself a little wide through his racing line. That's not bad, but nonetheless, now McDonald able to open up just a little bit of breathing room as they're heading in towards the carousel.
The thing that I find interesting about that is James was so much farther alongside him that time. I think he's gathering info each lap. He's figuring out how to get that grip off the corner. Eventually, this is going to go sour for McDonald because James will figure out just the right positioning to sneak by.
Well, let's see if he uses her back as a pit going into turn number 1. Well, it's either one of those two as they come around turn number 20.
That's her back.
Yeah, through Andretti down the front straightaway as Herback gives both of those drivers plenty of room to get by heading into turn number 1. So, still McDonald and Lee. Lee looking to the inside of McDonald. Turn 1, going to look to the outside as McDonald holding his line this time by going into 1.
Yep, weaving back and forth as McDonald holds station to try and figure out how do I position the car? Where do I place it? And using turn 2, the compression at the bottom of it to try and pull up to him, but now they hit the S's and it is single file through here.
Yeah, you don't really want to make a move because a couple tires in the in the clag and you're going to be off for a wild ride. But Lee's able to use that to his advantage as he closes in on turn number 7. And McDonald taking a tighter entry into 8, which is very interesting. But nonetheless, we see the past couple of times Lee has looked to the inside going into turn number 11. Does he do the same here?
He's thinking about it. He's showing himself once again, but every time we see that, when he brakes, he's not fully alongside. This time he is, and he's actually ahead at the apex. Is this McDonald trying to set himself up for a better run down the backstretch? If he did, it didn't work, and we have a new leader.
We'll see if McDonald has anything to answer about that going into turn number 12. That was a fantastic move by Lee, and now Lee has a chance to take the defensive line into the heavy braking zone. He's going to as McDonald. He's going to look to the inside, and that's the biggest gap that we've seen going into turn number 12, Joe. That was about 3-4 car lengths, so McDonald not able to make anything happen. Now this is the part of the track where Lee is the quickest in the stadium section. Let's see if that holds true.
Remember, we have only had one winner in all 4 races so far, and that's McDonald's. So Lee would be the first person in Pro-Am to claim victory other than Blake McDonald. Kind of thought he was going to start running away for a bit because it looked like he was gapping him slightly, but now McDonald holding on to the back of him. We'll keep watching this as long as he doesn't manage to get by, whether or not Lee will start to extend that gap.
On our drone shot, I also saw that Laura Eli's closed up on Kevin Woods for the battle for the Masters in 992, so we'll see what happens there as we watch the 274 of Dennis. And oh my, look who our new leader in Masters is. Not that.
No,
that's Herback.
That's the Cayman.
It's, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little fuzzy right here. But Eli trying to do all she can to keep up to Woods. They kind of look similar, so you can kind of see my mistake.
Yeah, no, well, they're in the same team. That's why
that too, yeah, that too, yes.
Herback Racing for Black Sheep. Laura, one of the founders of Black Sheep, and has really honestly been impressing here in this series, the way that she has just been putting in good result after good result. Still unable to do anything on Woods at this stage, but she's been keeping him in touch, so if Kevin makes any sort of mistake, she's there to pick up the pieces.
10 minutes left in this race, plus 1 lap. It's Lee and McDonald. James Lee has opened up a 7/10 of a second gap in that gap, but looking on our maps, looks like it's getting just a little bit bigger.
But she just poked her nose to the inside, clipping the dirt there. So she was strong through 6, 7, and 8, but unfortunately not good enough to get fully side by side. And that actually looks like it cost her a bit, as she's now about 3 car lengths back.
Yeah, it just cost her a little bit, but let's see what she can do coming into turn number 12. Out of 11, she's able to keep Woods within sight as they're working their way down that long back straightaway. One of the longest we're going to see here on the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West schedule. Heavy braking zone, and Laura able to close that gap just a little bit.
But still can't try and attack. So we are spoiled for choice this race. We had a battle for the lead in the Pro-Am. Now we've got a battle for the lead in the Masters, especially with the smaller car count that we see in this series. This is a fantastic showing for them to give us a show.
And also keep in mind, look at that battle for third in Masters between Reinhold Kron and Jim Walsh. Walsh holding 0.8 of a second behind Kron. So one has to wonder if Kron used his tires just a little too early.
Yeah, it certainly seems like the car was a bit better early in the run than it is now, as he started out leading and then just could not hold back many of his rivals. Well, the Black Sheep, number 209, continues to hound Woods around every corner that she can, but Laura is still not close enough here coming up into turn 1. She's going to have to see if she can close that down to give herself an opportunity. Remember earlier how I was asked about Lee versus McDonald, who's the quickest? It's looking like Lee.
Yeah, not too bad. It's a 2.6 second gap has been opened up between Lee and McDonald with just under 8 minutes left to go in this race. But still, it's the battle for the race. So it's a battle for fourth place overall in Masters between Kevin Woods in the blue 294 and Laura Eli in the red and orange number 209. She's doing quite well here. Of course, she's going to have a stud of a teammate for Sunday's endurance race as well.
Yeah, Ashley Freiberg going to be joining her for that 60-minute event. I'm looking forward to that. Laura's looking forward to that. I mean, literally since the first time I met her, she started asking about if she could team up with Ashley. And I was like, that's not my deal. That's between you and Ashley.
Well, if you were the one who kind of brought them together, I think shouldn't you get a little bit of a stipend for it? Driver agent?
Well, I can't really claim that I made that happen. It's just she came and asked me very first thing, so you can tell that she was eager to try and make that happen.
No, that's huge because, you know, you've got Ashley, who she's a very talented driver in and of herself, defending 991 champion, and Laura Eli, who even herself, the 22 Porsche West 991 champion. But look at the gap that she's closed up from Woods this time by. You see at the top of your screen, it's down to about 1 car length.
Yeah, it's definitely closing in there. And, you know, we were talking about Kron versus Walsh. It's like they've also got Cortez and I think Conley kind of in that little group. It's a series of 4 cars that are all kind of battling in a line. So that could definitely erupt at any moment as we continue to watch the Masters leaders out of turn 19 heading up into Andretti.
It's interesting the lines that both Woods and Eli are taking between 19 and 20. You see that Woods, he dives off the rumble strips, but Eli keeps straddling them. We'll see if that plays a part later on because Eli not using those rumble strips as much, just enough to get on it and get off of it heading into 20.
Well, maybe he knows that he just needs to worry about the places where he could lose that position and the spots where it's too tough for Laura to get by. He can leave a little bit of leeway to give himself some wiggle room in this race. It's coming down to it. I think Laura's going to have to start getting aggressive.
Yeah, it's go time. We're about 5.5 minutes plus 1 lap, so probably about 3 laps left to go in this race as Lee, look at that gap that Lee has now, 3 seconds over Blake McDonald.
I am massively impressed with James, mainly because, like I said, Blake McDonald tends to actually run away from the rest of the field when he takes his wins. So for James Lee to show up and throw the gauntlet down, that to me says that he has entered a new chapter.
Yeah, he's here to play, so we'll see how that plays out in the coming laps. Still plenty of time, plenty of racing left. We're watching this battle for the 992 Masters between Kevin Woods and Laura Eli. Woods in the blue 294, Eli in the multicolored 209. Coming into turn number 12. About 3 or 4 car lengths, but Eli's going to try and get that gap closer. She dives deep on the brakes, tries to take the lead, but Woods with the over-under.
Well, I said she needed to get aggressive, and I think she took that to heart, but unfortunately, that's just one of those corners where if you send it too hard, you're not going to get the car to turn and accelerate.
Well, we got another battle back there between Kron and Walsh. They go side by side. A little bit of a spin from Kron as he makes contact, and he's able to get that car going underway through the long lap that MotoGP runs. But that was an interesting incident there.
That was Cortez, I think, actually, they made contact with there, unfortunately. So Kron having his day go from bad to worse. We'll see if there's any penalties coming from race control on that one. There is Cortez in the red and white machine now.
That's going to be interesting to see what happens. You've got the 299 of Conley holding off The 269 of Walsh for position. That very interesting to see how that transpired, I should say. But 3:38 left and still plenty of good racing here. Looks like that Woods, from that optimistic move that Eli made, was able to open up a bigger gap. But again, looks like Laura is just getting a little bit more aggressive, and that's what we like to see.
Yeah, I wonder if she maybe ran out of steam after that move, or maybe she had to regroup. But she's closing in. This seems to be her strong point up here through the S's in 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, through the S's and through the stadium section. That's where her strong point is as she goes deep into turn number 8, now through turn number 9, nose to tail. About 1 to 2 car lengths separate the battle for the Masters leaders.
Interesting stuff here between them. And as they come down into turn 10, she's definitely not close enough here.
No.
Ooh, she's much wider into the turn. Will this pay dividends?
It's going to be interesting to see if she can make that work. She's still a little bit too far away to make anything happen, but she's got enough time still to sit and wait and kind of goad Woods into a mistake. We'll see if that happens this time by, as she's going to close up the gap going into turn number 12 and try and make her way through the stadium section.
Remember, we're looking at about 210 laps for these drivers around this place. So, actually, where is Lee right now?
Lee is coming around into turn number 19.
I think, yeah, we have 2 to go this time by. So 35 minutes plus 1 lap. That means that the clock will hit 0 before he can get around a second time.
This Walsh-Connolly battle looking pretty good. Connolly has lost position to Walsh. Now Walsh has to deal with, Connolly needs to deal with Cortez. So move Walsh up to 6th overall.
That's good to see. That'll put him on the podium now with Cron having his problems a little bit earlier along with Cortez. Remember, with Cortez and that is Conley there in behind him, they are not really his problem right now. They are in a different class. He needs to set his sights forward. Although, yeah, if we got 1 lap to go, then or 2 laps to go, then that means that he's probably not going to catch Laura.
Yeah, no, still plenty of time. It sounds like the Keenan's running around. Whoa, a little wide out of Walsh.
Just outbraked himself, I think, in turn 1 is Conley. Yep, he's going to take that spot right back. Again, Conley will now be 6th overall, but again, Walsh is not in the same class as him, so it's all for pride, essentially, between those two.
Yeah, Cortez going to try and see what he can do to get around Walsh this time by. Still watching that battle. Also have our eyes set on the Woods-Eli battle as the field making their way around for the penultimate lap as we have 40 seconds remaining.
And we were talking about the heat earlier and the drivers needing to withstand that. Walsh is an interesting story. He lives in Arizona. So for his training, he's told me that he actually goes out in the middle of the day and runs on the trail. And that he also listens to very sciencey and complicated podcasts so that he is forced to focus on something to help him try and get used to both the heat and be able to keep his mind going at the same time. Interesting method.
That is a very interesting method. Never thought of doing something like that, but he is a very fit man as well. Seeing we were actually our dining areas shared with the Competition Motorsports crew, and very smart, very quick man as he goes to the stadium section.
Yeah, so Walsh looks like actually dropping off Conley a little bit for now. Maybe he knows that not worth throwing this one away. He's got a podium in his hands in this Masters class, even if it isn't an overall podium for him, but he'll be looking at 7th in the end. In fact, he could let Cortez go if he feels like he's too much of an issue. I can report it looks like it should be white flag.
Yeah, it should be white flag at this time. We're not seeing that on our timing, but James Lee did pass through start-finish as the 2:08 of Blake McDonald. He's fallen back to 6 seconds behind Lee. There's our leader. And Laura Eli is just under 1 second.
Hopefully we can see the flag stand from our commentary booth. Unfortunately, we're not quite close enough here to actually look out and see if he's waving that. But from when he crossed last time, I'm pretty sure there wasn't enough time to get around for it, so we'll see if we get the white flag this time. But there is Lee right now coming out of turn 11 and down the back stretch. And man, a 6-second gap last time at the line. If you had told me after race 4 at Utah that Blake would be 6 seconds behind the leader, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, what a dominating performance James Lee has put on. Once he got out in front of McDonald, he was able to sail away from the 2:08 and the points leader. So we'll see what he can do here in the closing corners. Still got plenty of time left, but again, we're anticipating this being the last lap.
Indeed. See, exits out of the stadium section now. There you can see the gap between himself and McDonald as Dennis gives chase about 8 more seconds behind as well. In fact, Kevin Woods looks like he was rather close to him, but only 3-second gap between them. Down and out of the triple apexer with 2 turns to go for James Lee. He should be able to take this one home with a victory. There he is into Andretti and to the finish line. We look for it, and there it is, the checkered flag for James Lee, the first driver to win besides Blake McDonald's in the Pro-Ams.
And McDonald comes home second to take the checker and the Texas flag. As we see that battle for the Masters not going to be decided, at least no pass there, as Kevin Woods is going to take that. Laura Eli finishes second, a great showing for her. And Casey Dennis, look at him in third place.
Yeah, nice podium for Casey, although I bet he'll want to go back to the drawing board as we see Walsh come home with a podium in the Masters, sandwiched between Conley and Cortez. Now I wonder if we will see a penalty for Cortez or potentially for Cron later, because remember, they made that contact earlier.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see post-race penalties. Of course, everything here is provisional. Here is Michael Gawkey, though, your Cayman leader, coming around the carousel in that number 99 orange and white Cayman. And that looks to be the 264 of Hacker coming around the outside of Gawkey. But nonetheless, a great showing from the 99. And with that, he will take over the points lead for his second win of the season. Checker flag, Texas flag out for your Cayman winner, Michael Gawkey.
Great run by him. We'll wait a little bit for Herback to come across, but that's essentially our entire field. There's Herback right there. Actually, not that far behind.
No.
He did a good job.
He really did. He only 12 seconds behind. So great job by Herback. And, of course, we want to congratulate James Lee on the finish. Well, you've got to get down to Victory Lane for the Porsche West. We'll catch up with you in just a little bit, but we're going to take a quick break. Get ready for some Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman action here from the Circuit of the Americas.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.